Hey folks, it's Dr. O. It is Friday evening. I'm looking at my clock here. It's about 20 past 6 now. I've had a long day, a long week actually, and I just finished, excuse me, in front of an audience talking about real estate investing, property investing in the United Kingdom. And, excuse me, one of the messages that I shared in this last hour or so was about the gender pay gap, the pension gender pay gap, the investment or the wealth gender gap, which is a real phenomenon. And you've heard me post about this recently, and we're just sharing some statistics. If you're a woman watching this and you don't know that, in the last year, for the women that I think it's like women are twice as likely to not have been kept in their jobs in this last year, but the ones that have, their salaries have dropped on average by about £460 a month. And then you start to look at the gap, the gender pension gap. In other words, what a woman retires on versus what a man retires on. And because of the fact they've had to take time out, maybe come back into the workplace, etc., because they've been looking after the kids, the gap is widening. And then you talk about the wealth gap, gender gap. It's just ridiculous. I've been passionately behind this. I guess having seen my mum work so hard after my father died. My mum worked literally, my father died 40 years previous, so she just worked so hard. So I kind of grew up with this bee in my bonnet about it, and it's coming more to the front at the moment as I'm speaking, and I'm noticing a lot of conflicts happening between couples where actually women are more driven and more passionate about building, say, a property business. And I've got a link here, by the way, so if you're watching this and you haven't seen me talk about real estate at all or property, click on the link here and go and watch. I've got like a 75-minute video that breaks down 8 key stages of property investing. Sod your partner if he doesn't want to do it. Go watch this anyway. But the point is that we're seeing this conflict with people, and I'm talking to women who are like, I want to do it. I want to stand up. I want to earn more money. And my husband, we had a lady just recently. Her husband literally didn't even want her to be on the training. He didn't want her to be there for the 3 days. Kept coming in and looking over her shoulder, angry because he didn't want to have to look after the kids for the weekend. Fuck, excuse my language, but it's just outrageous. So you can probably guess this is a little bit of for me, a bit of an angst. So I want to just talk about this briefly. That, look, this is based on the fact that people are brought up, myself included, men and women are brought up to get an education, study really hard, and then get into a job. And all of a sudden we're into this filtered system, which is without a doubt weighted towards the male. In the industry and in the workplace, etc. It's been like this for as long as I've been around for 50 years, and it's probably worse when I grew up. For my mum, for example. The point I want to make is there are opportunities out there that are irrelevant on your gender, and this is the point: is you want a vehicle that says fuck your sex, whatever, your age, your background, whatever. You can make money if you do this, and that's what I thought I'd share with you. So these are 4 things you might want to consider. Number 1, you want an asset-based income. And that shouldn't say text there. So let me see if I can change this really quickly. Can I change it? I probably can't, actually. Let me see if I can do it. Just 1 second. I'll actually do it live while you're there. I don't know what you can and can't see. So I'm just going to do it live. This just shows you how slick this can be. Lovely. All right. So you want an asset-based income. Now, what is an asset-based income? An asset-based income is an income where you invest in an asset, i.e., I'm going to use property as the vehicle here. And now you've got a bricks and mortar asset that you own, that it produces a passive income. It doesn't give a shit what gender you are. It doesn't give a shit how old you are, whether you're married, divorced, whatever. All it knows is you've bought it and it produces an income. You rent the property out, you receive a certain amount of income, you pay off your mortgage, your expenses, and you've got a net cash flow. It could be 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000 a month. Every property strategy is slightly different. That's what I teach people. And that's the benefit of this. So that's the first thing. It's a bricks and mortar building, whether it's a small 1-bedroom flat or a large property, it doesn't matter. And it produces a cash flow into your bank account, which is owned by you, for the ladies listening to this, in your name, and no one can take it away from you. And you can't be told you can't earn this much because, men in this industry earn this much. Look at the acting profession. It's the same thing. It's ridiculous. So that's the first thing. And you can probably feel I'm quite about this one. Number 2 is it's gender irrelevant, meaning, and I guess that kind of ties into it, but I need to understand the distinction, right? An asset-based income, like if you, for example, did drop ship business on Amazon. That's not really an asset-based income. It can make you money, but it's not a bricks and mortar type income. If you owned stock and you owned them and it produced a dividend for you each single year, then you'd get an income from it. You're owning something, albeit it can go up and down, of course. It depends if you're trading or investing, but at least it's something you own. You could hold gold, which is a commodity. That's not going to produce an income for you, but as gold over time, it's going to go up in value. So that's a long-term wealth building strategy, right? So they're all different. That's what my point is. It's an asset. But if you wanted an asset-based income, it means buying something, whether you buy a building which has a business and it produces an income, or you simply buy a building or a property, and then you turn it into an income. The second point is it's irrelevant what your background is. So gender, age, all those things. So you want to be targeting things that don't discriminate in that respect. Now you might say, well, I'm a woman, it's tough to get into the property market, for example. Well, that's not true. I've got 3 or 4 ladies on this weekend who are supporting me, women investors, ages ranging from, I think one of them came through at 24 years of age, 25 years of age, right through to somebody who's in their 40s. And each of them have built this pretty much on their own, And the point being that it really, at the end of the day, if you're a professional and you know how to do this properly and you know how to carry yourself, communicate effectively, which is one of my passions, and you've got the skill set, you can buy it and build a large property business, irrespective. In fact, women make better investors generally because they're more intuitive and they don't rush in with an ego. So very important. It needs to be a gender irrelevant based income as well. The third thing is it needs to have a year-on-year increase in income. Now that's really important because if you go into a salaried job, as we've just discovered, there might have been people growing up the corporate ladder up to 2019, going to 2020. This is a woman now, she's in a career, all of a sudden last year hits and statistics like twice as more likely to have lost their job, loses their job or gets downgraded and suddenly now in a salary that's lower, and now you've got to start back up again. Whereas with real estate, if you buy a property to produce £1,000 a month cash flow for you, that's £12,000 a month you just added to your salary for that year. Now, in the following year, if you do the same thing again, buy one property that produces £1,000 a month, you just added £24,000 a year to your overall household income. That's in the 2-year period. In the third year, if you do the same thing again, and you buy another property that produces £1,000 a month cash flow, you've now added £36,000. So in other words, over the 3-year period, it's gone up and up and up, increasing. That's just one. What if you did 2 or 3? So you can see this incremental increase in income, which is totally irrelevant to your gender. And this is why I say I'm trying to use polite language here, but screw the gender salary gap. There are ways to beat it. And of course, the last thing here before I wrap up, because I am tired, as you can probably see from my face, and that is you have control. You have control back. If your partner doesn't want to do this, for whatever reason, if your husband just doesn't want to do this as a business, fucking do it anyway, because statistically, women outlive men by 10 to 15 years. So I always say, if a man is holding a woman back, he's actually acting very selfishly, because at some point, he ain't going to be around statistically. And she may be left with financially a more challenged situation. And statistically, I've heard figures of like 6 or 7 out of 10 women are financially in difficult situations because they had to leave the workplace to go and look after the family, come back. The pension wasn't in place. He hadn't put protection in place. Oh, I don't want you to go and do anything. You know what? Take back control. This is your opportunity to do it. I know it's a pretty hard-hitting message, but hopefully you're getting it. And, if your partner loves you and they don't want to do it, then say, hey, I know you love me. I love you. I'm going to do this anyway. I'm doing it for me, but I'm also doing it for us. If they are threatened by what you're doing, that's a bigger issue. That's a deeper issue in the relationship. That's to do with their own blocks, their own issues, and they need to get over their own shit, because at the end of the day, this is about financial security for you and the family. And if you've got a partner that doesn't want to do it, all I can say is, well, I'm not going to say it. That's probably a conversation for another day, but you're going to have that conversation with them and explain, I want to do this. I want to make sure that we build security for the future. But for any women watching this, this is a great vehicle. I mean, go spend some time with me. I've got this free presentation that I put together, so you can always come and join me and watch that. And at least it gives you a bit of inspiration. If nothing else, it gives you a way to think differently. And you go, look, if we did this, this is what we could achieve in the next 2-3 years. It would at least bring some stability, give you a bit more self-worth, because you've been knocked around in the corporate world, which is a load of bullshit. Of course, we know it's the way they treat people, not just women, but people in general. It's not designed for people that are inventive and creative, entrepreneurial. It's designed to keep people there in a corporate mindset, keep them controlled. And there's this jealousy about levels of income. I've even come across it in my own profession. So as a professional speaker, I've come across people that don't like the ability of what I can earn in certain areas. And it fascinates me that people think like that. Then you add to that your income from your property portfolio, etc. I'd be like, oh my gosh, how can you do that? So it's your choice. You either listen to the ones that want to put you down, or you become empowered by your own voice and say, fuck it, I'm going to do this. I'm taking back control. That's my message. Hopefully you like it. It's a Friday night message, and I'm going to sign off and get ready for my audience for tomorrow, because we've got a whole bunch of people that want to become financially dependent, and my goal is to serve them. Have a good evening.